Order the Conservation Advisory Council for the town of Niskayuna, the April 6th, 2022 meeting. And why don't we start the meeting with the roll call?
So online we have Stephen Burkholder and Ryan Sarkar. And here in Town Hall, we have Ashok Ramasubramanian and Chairman Strayer. Ellen should be joining us shortly.
Okay, great. The next item is the minutes for March 2nd, 2022. And I was wondering if anybody had any comments on those minutes? Or did anybody see anything they wanted to modify or bring to our attention? I see some head shaking no.
No.
Did you see?
There is one minor thing. My name has an N in it, Thornton.
We can correct that. Yep. I'm just going to wait for Ellen to get settled.
Yeah.
Nope.
Whoops. So the record can show that Ellen Daviero has joined us.
Okay, Ellen, we were reviewing the minutes from from February, March 2nd, sorry. Did you see any corrections you wanted to make?
I didn't see any corrections.
No comments? Okay, I move that we adopt the minutes with the one correction on Roy's name. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay. Next item is privilege of the floor. Roy, would you like to address the committee at all?
Right, you're muted.
Sorry.
Now
Quick
we can hear
question.
you.
Good.
Any progress with the highway department on laying out the Lomo area on the landfill cap? I have an email into Ray Smith, but he hasn't gotten back to me yet.
There is a highway public works meeting tomorrow at 8 a.m. We have made progress with the Lomo. The signs that we had ordered came in for the Lomo area that we're working off of Catherine River Hill Boulevard. But I haven't heard any finalization of the actual landfill cap, so I don't know if you would want to try and attend that meeting. I can also try and remember to bring it up there as well.
I had planned to join the meeting and I sent in a request through the town website to join it. I haven't received the link yet.
Okay.
Then one other item, spring is coming. What else can I do to help move this along?
For the actual land cap part,
Either one, both.
yeah, so I think that ours is going to be okay. The signs are in. I'm coordinating with Ray on when to put them up. And I also am Nick and I have been trading emails about getting more wildflower seeds to come over. So that one I really think is okay, but I don't think we have finalization on the landfill cap part. So I think continuing to go to the meetings and trying to get something finalized and put in writing is probably what you're doing is probably the best thing that you can do.
Fair enough.
I'll go tomorrow as well.
No, there you go.
Hey, Roy, so I'll go as well to the meeting, okay, in the morning?
Okay, great.
Okay, great. Let's move on then to the environmental assessment forms. We have one in front of the committee. It's one research circle. It's GE Global R&D, and they have an application to construct a new building on their site. There were a couple issues raised by the planning board. One was a question about parking, and the response was there was no additional parking. They asked about the location of the building, and they asked if it could be moved on some impervious area. And the location was chosen. Basically, they feel it's the best condition, so they can use the existing parking area, and the poor parking will be removed. There was some questions about the energy concepts, such as solar panels and charging stations. They said EV charging would be included, and they would be working with NYSERDA to meet their requirements. And the HVAC system will be geothermal, which will reduce their carbon footprint. And the new building doesn't appear to increase any demand on the infrastructure or the sewer of the town or the infrastructure. And basically, once they get the building up, they're going to be able to demolish 2 additional buildings. They received an approval from the ZBA for the height because they're above the height. So it's a variance of 20 feet that they received the approval for. And they are working with the Architectural Review Board. However, my understanding, Laura, is they don't have a final rendition of the building yet.
That's correct.
Hey, Laura, it's Eric. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I don't know if Corey was able to jump on.
Hi, Eric. No, I think Corey's actually like on a plane. so Dart was just going over your project, and I think they do have questions. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, and everything you just said kind of lines up to exactly where we're at, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great. Did anybody have any questions on it?
So I saw, so hi, this is Ellen. And so I saw the pictures that, that were sent. Let me see if I can count the picture. So I guess I would say it's 1, 2, 3. It's the 4th one down. It's the view from the entrance, where you drive by, where you drive in. It's the tree line. So it says the tree line obscures the view of existing the K West building. So so this is true, except for those are all trees that are lose their leaves. So it is not true for January, February, March, April. So it once those leaves go down, you can see all the buildings back there when you drive by now.
Yeah, sure. You can see some through the trees as they exist right now. Sure.
Yeah. So and is that the site where the building will be? Because then it'll be an extra 20 feet tall, correct? Is that?
I'm not sure. What is the adjacent building nearby? Because a lot of the buildings at the GE site are much higher than the 35-foot guideline. I think like the big building up front, the chemistry building, isn't that about 80 feet?
I think it's our K1 building. Yeah, there's 3 floors on one of them and 6 floors on another that both are on the River Road side.
Yeah.
So the closest building to this building is that one that we were talking about, kind of has black windows and it's multiple
But
stories.
that's the lower building, isn't it?
It's actually, I think we looked at the variances, and I think it's 62 or 63 feet high.
Oh, it
I think what you found, Laura, was 65.
Yeah, I think it looks smaller because it's sort of built into the hill, but I think it is like 60 feet.
Right. So this is where they're going to put it, right?
Yeah.
And this is the river, and this is Riverview Road.
Right.
Right. And
River
this is a river. Excuse me. This is road, and this is the entrance, right? So, and this is the view. So when you look at this view, you can see all those buildings right now.
Yeah, you can see them. Yeah.
Okay. And it'll be, and they have and it'll be 20. It'll be higher, right? Because they're above the
It's not higher really than the existing buildings, but it's closer. So that's why they're going to meet with the tree council to plant more screening.
Okay. Okay.
I do have a question on the site. I'm looking at the site there. So is the building on the same plane, or is the existing building, the K building, set down at all?
So there's one floor below grade on the K West building that is the closest building next to it. And this will be potentially 3 floors above the grade, which is the same amount of floors that we have above grade in the K West building.
Okay, so the roof lines should pretty much match up. Is that a reasonable assumption?
I believe, yes.
Okay. I had another question. So I'm looking at your rendering that you have, and it looks to me like it's a metal building. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's similar to what we call the spin test building that is further north in that same parking lot.
So is it panels, and basically you push the panels up and the panels sit on the infrastructure? I'm just trying to get an idea because I'm not familiar with the spin building.
And I'm not as familiar with the details as Corey would be, who's on a plane, but I believe that to be yes, because we've been discussing panels insertion into the frame.
I see. And do you have is this going to be a permanent building, or is this a temporary building? And I don't mean, 6 months. I'm thinking, 10 years.
Yeah, this is a permanent building. This is going to be a one of a kind facility in the world. The reason we're building it is because we have testing that we need to do. That there was a facility in France that would be able to do it, but it would take investment there, and we decided it would be better to do it and have that facility that we own.
Okay. And the last question I have on the building is, I noticed that there's no windows on the sides. Is that just a rendering, or is that a requirement due to the type of testing that you're going to do in the building?
I don't believe there are any on the side. We do have significant windows on the front and windows, well, I guess the north side, and then windows on the south side. I don't know if it shows in that rendering or not, but there are no windows on the side.
I'm looking at
Which
2 renderings. It doesn't look like there's windows on the south side, but there doesn't seem to be any other windows.
there should be windows on the north side, which is the main entrance.
The north
Yeah,
side?
Dart, I can help fill in a little information from the last planning board meeting that Corey said. He said these images are actually pretty well outdated based on the way the design has been evolving. Other than that front part will be basically all glass. And he said there has been a lot of thought going into the building from the standpoint of the employees working in there. So they were looking at windows, especially on the opposite side from the front view here. And they will provide additional renderings as they get a little closer. So they're actually not going to be at the planning board meeting on Monday, the 11th, because that work is still in process, but we will see some newer images in the near future.
And I know there were windows added to the south side. That's definitely in place.
Okay. And do you have an idea of what the color of the building would be?
It's the same as the spin test building. I think it's a light tan with some green accents, I believe.
Ishuk, do you have any questions? No? No? Steve, do you have any? No? Raina?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. I guess I have, Ellen, do you have any more questions?
I just would, I see that they said that, that they're doing the
Ground source heat pump?
yeah, no, to make it more energy efficient. And
Yeah, I think we probably said geothermal, but it looks like it's going to be a ground source heat pump throughout as a method across our whole site.
okay.
And that's actually a GE company initiative to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 50% by 2030, and we're working with NYSERDA on a study right now.
I don't know what their capacity is of the electricity that they're making or using. It's fine. Good.
Okay. I guess my view on this, the biggest impact that I see is the visual from both, let's say, River Road, and I know there's a fair amount of trees, where there's some trees in the field on that, but the other impact, I think, would be along the bike path up by where the field is. If you go to the drawing that shows, or the picture that shows the drawing that has the rendering of the building in red with the existing building, you can see the bike path that goes along River Road and then turns north. And there's a field there, and the buildings are very visible. I guess what I would suggest that there's some plantings be put in there, probably closer to the building as opposed to the bike path, because I think that field is a real asset, at least visually.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can certainly. I won't even attempt to figure out what it looks like sitting in my car in Pennsylvania at the moment. But we will certainly. We're happy to put in as much greenery as we need to, and we'll take a look through, that exact view and make sure we do what's needed.
Okay.
So, do you guys want to go through the questions?
Yeah, let's go. I was going to
Okay.
suggest let's go through the questions then.
Okay. So will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation?
I think in light of the variance that was granted by the ZBA, that would be the only
Kind of conflict.
conflict, but that's been taken care of, so I would say no.
Okay. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land?
Again, I guess I would have to say no, because there's a plan to take down some additional buildings.
Yeah, so, and Eric, you jump in if I'm wrong. I think the plan is to put this building up and then take down 2 smaller buildings on GE's property. So the intensity of use
I think the total square footage is roughly the same.
is roughly the
Yeah.
same. So it's not going to change the intensity of use. The only thing is it's slightly close to River Road, but that's why we do the screening
And plus two, I mean, it's 710 feet. I mean,
from the road. Yeah, and
it's not like it's on
yes,
the road.
agreed. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
I think that can be mitigated with screening, appropriate screening.
So no with appropriate screening.
Yep.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? If there's no CEAs here. So will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
I think based on the answer given in the planning board, it's no.
It's no.
Yeah.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy, or does it fail to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? So I think, Eric, that's where it's important that you guys are doing that work with NYSERDA and making sure that that you're reducing your greenhouse gases and doing LED lighting and all that stuff.
Yeah, and we've got interest in doing that just from a cost standpoint anyway, longer term.
Yeah, it's great to hear a corporation say that. It is absolutely true. It benefits everybody.
Hi, this is Ashok. A quick reverting back to an earlier question. What is going to be the impact on the bike path and driveways during the construction phase?
There might be some slight increased traffic, but in the mornings to get onto the site while we're doing construction, but once they're on in the morning, there should not be continuous traffic back and forth.
Do you anticipate closure of segments of the bike path for any length of time?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
So will the proposed action impact existing public-private water, public-private wastewater? I think they have already answered us to that is no.
Mhm.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
Are there any archaeological concerns there?
I don't think it came up on the map that they have to do.
Okay.
So I would say no.
All right.
Sorry, my computer is going so slow. Okay. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna?
I would say no.
And planting additional trees, I think, helps.
Yep.
Since there's a GE official on call, I just want to state for the record that the massive meadow, not on the proposed project site, but the massive meadow, kind of between the soccer fields, but on the other side of the bike path, that's a spectacular pollinator and bird habitat, and a lot of us in the town of Niskayuna are rather fond of that meadow. I just wanted to state that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's funny because Chairman Strayer is saying that same thing, almost the exact same words to me before we started the meeting.
Yeah.
So
It's a real asset.
We found bald eagles on that site last late spring.
Well,
they're probably the ones that live at Lock 7.
Mhm.
Yeah. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage?
I would think no.
Yeah, it's pretty flat. Like they'll do all of that in their engineering, but I think no. And will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
I think that's a no. Okay, so then you guys just, if you want to do a recommendation with any notes, I'll write it down.
So first, how does the committee feel about making a recommendation in any form? Are we supportive of that? I see some head shaking. Ellen?
Yeah.
Steve? Okay. Raina?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I guess let's talk about it. Do we want to put any conditions on the recommendation?
So I would at least recommend, because you mentioned multiple times when we were going through the questions, that the screening is going to be important. So I would recommend at least acknowledging that the screening is important and that it's probably important to continually work with the ARB to make sure that that facade can be as pleasing as possible, with the understanding that it has to be functional
Yeah,
and cost effective to GE.
I would also basically take Ashok's comment about the meadow and make sure that the meadow's relationship with the bike path is kept intact with that screening. In other words, we'd like to be able to see the meadow from the bike path.
So
as
not
opposed
not
to-
plant the trees right in the middle of the meadow, you're saying?
Right. not
Yeah,
plant the
gotcha.
trees right now. I have one other comment, and that has to do with the elevations. So I think what I'd like to put is that this is contingent, the recommendation is contingent on successfully working with the Architectural Review Board and basically meeting their requirements.
Okay, got that?
Are there any other comments at all?
So they're going to be working with the tree council. So, maybe, I can see that, just maybe trees that stay green all year,
Oh, okay, yep.
so that some of this, whatever they lose, during, is help. It's a balance.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, do we have a recommendation on the floor?
Recommendation for a negative deck.
Okay. Yeah. you want-
Second it.
Okay, so on the floor, we have a negative deck or conditional negative deck based on the mitigating comments that we have in the recommendation. So all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any nays? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, great.
So thanks, Eric. Clerk will be reaching out to you guys for your next steps.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, for coming to the meeting.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Yep. Good night.
Good night. Drive safe.
Okay, discussion items. Let me just get back to the agenda. Okay, there is 2635 Balltown Road. It's the Trinity Baptist Church, and they want to clear a portion of their property.
Yeah, in the rear,
In the
to be able to put in kind of a play activity area with a gazebo. And I think that they'd be willing to attend the CAC meeting. They've been working still preliminarily with the planning board, but we wanted to get it on your agenda so you could take a look at it, be thinking about it, and then ask us, any clarifying questions for if we bring it to the meeting next time. So they're along Balltown Road right before you get to Riley Way. They have a pretty big front yard. And then they have the church, then a parking lot, and then they have a little bit of a ditch, and then they have a forest.
Mhm.
And they want to clear some of that forest in the back to put the gazebo up. They're avoiding the wetlands except for that one tiny section. Well, it's not tiny, but that one section that has the little, this guy. Oh, I don't have it up. Hold on. And they're still working on, I think you could have read in the agenda statement, they're still working on grading and things like that because there's quite a bit of drainage and stuff that's going through there. And the tree council and the planning board are trying to do a walkthrough to see if there's trees that can be saved and where they could replant trees for the taking them down. And then to look at, light pollution and what's going to change between the back of the church and the people on Moore's Court. So those are all the things that they're sort of looking at right now. This area right here is the area of wetland that's proposed to be
Yeah, it's marked.
disturbed.
It's marked on the.
Yeah, it's a slightly different thing.
So when they basically they're asking for permission to clear the wetlands, are they going to have to mitigate them somehow?
It's less than a tenth of an acre, so they can do it with a nationwide permit.
Okay.
Obviously the town wouldn't issue any okay without that Army Corps permit, but they've submitted for it. It's unlikely that the Army Corps would say no, so that's probably something that they're allowed to do.
Mhm.
So
And the PVC pipe that they have there, Sean, is that existing or are they going to put that in for drainage?
That's existing, and I think it has something to do with stormwater. So they're also working with our engineering department and how all of that works.
Okay.
Normally I think when a commercial property goes to do a clearing project, it's not as complicated as this, but this one has a lot of wetlands and pipes and
Yep.
so, and probably even some grading that needs to be done. So I think it's more complicated than they realized that it was going to be.
Mhm.
But what we were thinking is if they can plant trees like all along this parking lot here and like along the road, the entrance road, And then if there's some big trees in here, back in here and stuff that they can save. So save as many trees as possible is what we're wanting to work with them on.
It looks like the part where they want to clear those pretty flat.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it mostly is, but they have to just be careful because there's so many wetlands around and there's a lot of drainage in the area. So they may have to do like swales and berms and stuff just to make sure that the water doesn't
Yep.
go. I think like if you look at,
Yeah, I guess where the pavilion they're proposing. put it.
yeah, they've got proposed berm.
Mhm.
But they have to make sure that that goes all the way so that it doesn't negatively impact the property. And and then they also have to figure out exactly what's happening with that PVC thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Laura, you mentioned that they have a huge front yard,
They do.
and I have actually seen this property from
Right here.
the road. It's it's when you drive past Route 146. And is there any scope of putting the play area and all that in the front yard?
So I asked them that. They're not super comfortable with the play area in the front yard. There's a lot of traffic out on Balltown Road, and they don't feel like they have the privacy and the safety out there. So they really wanted to do it behind.
It almost seems to be that like it's something on the front yard with a very good fence would address some of the issues that we've been talking about. Also, there's a lot of parking on the back. Do we have any data on
How much-
on their busiest day, how much of those spaces are taken and how many are not taken?
So Clark, you can jump in here, but I believe Patrick McPartland on the planning board had asked if there was a way that they could reduce the pavement parking to make a play area, and they also felt like that wasn't. I don't know if he said that the whole parking lot was full, but I think he said they use it for something else. But we, as the CAC, can say, hey, we would like you to seriously evaluate the front yard and the parking to reduce your environmental impacts. I mean, for sure, we can pass that comment on. Yeah.
I'm certainly in favor of that because this is a pretty invasive operation on some of the last remaining wild space in that part of the town.
It would be way cost effective to do it on the front.
Well, yeah, yes. I think that actually even like I don't think that people realize that when you clear and stump trees, like the stumps leave pretty big holes and you end up having to bring in a lot of fill. And so like the cost of these projects actually can be way more than you think that they're going to be as well. But yeah, it does seem like it'd be more cost effective to use the existing space. But I mean, they may also just want to have it back in the forest too. I mean,
Well, I'd like to see some data on at least like anecdotally, like how much of those parking spaces are used
Okay.
on their busiest day. I mean, they don't have to hire somebody, but just like a written statement on, well, Sunday is our busiest day, and on Sunday, X number of those spaces out of a total Y are filled, something along those lines.
yep. So we can pass that on to them. So can they evaluate the front or the additional parking? And then can they give us a kind of a parking study for on their busiest times?
Do we have a sense that, they get this cleared, are they looking at potentially putting a daycare center in or some other community service?
Yeah, we can ask that question of them. I'm not sure that that specifically was asked, but they definitely haven't mentioned that yet.
I mean, they run a summer program there.
They do run a summer program, so
Yeah,
it would
run
be.
Do they?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they run it the whole summer, but they do,
Mhm.
like Bible study, things. And they, yeah.
I think that would be helpful if we knew if there was another motivation for clearing this other than, I guess the way to sort of ask it, is it just basically for the congregation use, or is it going to be used for something, some other outside community service? Because they would be back for another permit. So,
For if they were gonna use it
so,
for a
you know,
daycare,
if the
yeah.
two are coupled, we'd like to know that up front.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we'll ask them that question as well.
And, so, it would you just, so I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly. So that blue area that's butted next to all those houses, that stays.
Yes, so the blue area is wetlands. And actually in this aerial, it doesn't have the buffer. So there's a 25-foot buffer around those wetlands that also can't be cleared.
Okay.
So because of the wetlands and the buffer, there's a decent amount of area already that can't be cleared. So
Okay,
if you look
which
at
is-
this one actually has the buffer.
Yes, I see that.
So this one has the wetlands, which line up with the blue hatch marks in the other drawing, and then it has the buffer, which can't be cleared.
So the second dotted line in this one is the space that they're gonna use? Is that right here?
Well, there's contour lines.
Okay.
So, but I mean, they're proposing really to clear everything in between these crosshatch wetland buffers. So, like all of this in the middle here is proposed to be made into sort of like playing fields.
And Laura, maybe just show the 1/10 of an acre of wetlands that would be,
Yeah, that's this right here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I can see that little spot. I mean, I can see on here, like when I open it up, it says wetlands, like in the front here, like this.
yeah, those are all wetlands here.
So that'll all
That all has to stay. Yeah, they can't. They're not.
So how are they going to act?
So they have these 2 points of crossing right here, which are actually already built.
Okay.
So they like probably when they built the church a long time ago, they put culverts and driveway access back to their forest, which so those are pre-existing.
Okay.
Uh,
No lights though?
No lights in the field are proposed.
Okay.
is there any comment from those homeowners?
So it hasn't had a public hearing at the planning board. They probably would. They're still trying to figure out exactly what the limits of clearing would be.
Are you thinking there needs to be a buffer on that back, at the very least, that back area?
Yeah.
I would
I mean, the couple of those houses are very close.
Yeah, these are GIS lines, so they're approximate. But yeah, they're definitely close.
I mean, as far as usable space, I mean, I think if you were to take that path in the top, the top path that they have back there and basically just pull it across and keep the buffer there, that would probably mitigate some of your concerns there.
This one here.
Go to
Uh,
the area. Yeah. Yeah, you see the one house there between the two wetlands? It's sort of like, sort of close to that property line?
this one.
There's two of them.
There's two, yeah.
Those,
Well, I'm assuming they're not
those
going
two.
to take the trees out for the wetlands.
No, they're not. They can't. And then there's still a 25-foot buffer there too.
Right, but between the two wetlands, if they cleared straight to the line.
Oh, we talked about that. So if they just leave this whole area along their
Yeah.
property line
Yep.
as a buffer, yes. hmm
I mean, that certainly isn't going to impact the field.
No,
To
the
me,
planning
that
board
would be
talked about that
desirable
too.
because it would give them even more privacy.
Yeah.
If, you know,
I think that makes sense. You're talking about just keeping this northern property line,
mhm.
having a buffer, sort of like drawing the buffer between the two wetlands up there.
I think that they're underestimating the power of a good architect and landscape person on their front yard. And that
To make fields out there.
to make a field out there while immediately to your, a fence, to the eye doesn't, you eventually get, used to it. All right.
Mhm.
I mean, that fence that they put up around Niskayuna High School, everyone was aghast, but I mean, I can't tell you how many soccer games I went to and my kids' soccer balls would go, into the
Old Town
Balltown
Road.
Road, and you're like, I think maybe we need to put a fence up. And And then to, be able to, put greenery and, I mean, you can really make it a beautiful oasis back there in that front.
Mhm.
I mean, I know that they access, their parking in the back and that's what might be an issue, but I don't know.
Yeah,
What-
we'll bring those comments.
I mean, we can ask them about it. I don't think it hurts to ask them.
I mean, it's, financially speaking, I think it'd be a lot less, but
Yeah, the only downside of that I could see them coming back saying is they want the church to look inviting. And if you have a big fence
A lot
in
of
front the
times-
church.
They don't want to impact the sight lines to their
Yeah, the
church.
sight lines.
But
I think it's definitely, Ellen, I think it's definitely worth asking them about.
yeah, and I think that you can do, I think you can do all of that.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, I mean, this is what professionals are for.
okay. So we'll bring those comments, and then hopefully, if it progresses a little more, we'll have the applicant come and we can work through the EAF with them.
Okay, great then. Why don't we move on to the reports? The NRI. Want to fill us in?
Yes, Jim will be coming on Saturday, May 14th. I hope members of this committee can come. So he will be surveying 2 town properties and a bunch of pocket parks. We've been having some very productive NRI working group meetings. Jim has identified a lot of existing data from a variety of sources that could help us identify the town's existing natural resources. And we need to publicize this May 14th visit. So Laura, I was thinking if I write up something, can we do an email blast? You can get the town supervisor's permission.
Yep.
Like I can send you something to you and Dot, and then we can
Work on it.
work on it a little bit back and forth. And this is a point that I make repeatedly. Like I'm a big fan of getting young people involved because they are the future. So I especially would like to see more young people, and I've talked to Reina and a couple of others about doing some kind of outreach event at the high school level also. So yeah, that's the update. So please keep it in mind. Saturday, May 14th, people. Saturday, May 14th.
Okay.
Saturday, May 14th.
We'll make sure we get a reminder.
Yes, Saturday, May 14th.
Yeah, I should, I mean, when you email that to me and Dart, I'll do a calendar
Yeah.
and then do a calendar invite so it goes on people's calendars if they can come.
Okay.
I won't be able to be there. I'm sorry. My daughter's graduating from college. That's
Really, Ellen?
I
Like,
guess we'll let you go then.
yes. Well, congratulations to your daughter.
thank you.
Pesticide outreach. I saw the display. It looks very good.
Yeah, so I don't know if you had a chance to look at your
I saw
email.
that. I was reading it in the car coming home here on the way.
Not safe. But wait, I'll just show you guys too.
I haven't.
So Ellen wrote month by month organic lawn care flyers, and I only made tiny changes to them because they were beautiful, and we've uploaded them to the website here. So you have now pesticide-free pledge, why go pesticide-free and organic lawn care, and you can click on this, and then you've got February, March, April, May, June, July, August, and you can see these
Oh, that's terrific.
things that Ellen made. So they're there. And then I just drafted an email blast that we can blast out to tell people that they're there. And so Ellen's just going to take a look at it, and then maybe we can get it out tomorrow or the next day.
Okay. So I also, I mean, I when I was on when I looked on another committees, another town, they actually had a link in there to plants that you could plant that, it's like the Audubon. So it was the Audubon Society. So when you click on it, it'll tell you what you can grow in your area
Oh, we can
By-
put that link in there
that
if
you
you
can-
want to send it to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I thought that was really nice. And
We
then,
could probably put that up like in here, like under that information. We can say here's a link to native things that you can plant in your yard
Yeah.
or whatever.
this is on the this is on the website right now. I looked at yes.
Yeah, send it to me. Any updates? See, I just did this like an hour ago
Yeah.
because I wanted to have progress for the meeting. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
so just take a look at it, and then if anybody wants to add or change it, we can. And then when we're happy with it, we'll do that email blast.
Okay. And were you able to look at the thing that I sent for
The Lomo.
Yeah.
That's the next thing I want to put on the website. I figured we could get the organic lawn care happy, do the email blast, then we'll get the Lomo good maps, all whatever information we want to have on there.
Because that links up. That's what's gonna come up when the QR code, that information.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
that's what I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah. So, and we have the signs upstairs.
Yeah, that's what you mentioned. I
So,
just want to make sure that the QR code is up before the signs go up.
okay. So we
And-
have to work on that.
So I just want to make sure that the signs don't go up, and to make sure
Mhm.
that we have our QR code up. And
Okay. So the,
Troy did he wrote most of it, and then I just we did it together, and then we organized it.
yeah, I looked at what you guys wrote. I thought it looked fine. I would probably just upload it to the website now. But that's what would happen when you scan the QR code. Is that a PDF
Right, well,
of
that-
what you guys wrote?
So that was the idea.
Mhm.
It was the start of what would happen if you scan the QR code on those signs. You would get that information,
Mhm.
and then you could, yes. And we also had an email, there's a, I think on that sign we put a web address as well.
Yeah, so we can do all those things. Yes.
Okay.
I would probably separate them though. I think we should send the organic lawn care
Yes,
and then
yes,
wait
yeah,
like
they're
at least
two-
a week
They're two separate things. They're-
before we do the
yeah, they're
Lomo.
two separate things.
Yeah.
Yes, the organic lawn care was just that. It was, is that.
Yeah. And then like we can make sure that we've got everything figured out with the soil, water conservation, and that the signs go up,
Mhm.
the links work, and then we can do an email blast about that too.
Yes. Yes.
Laura, can we get a sidebar for the natural resources
Oh, I
inventory
think you asked
on
me
the
that
on the
for that
side?
last time. Yes.
I'm happy to send some text.
Yeah, can you send me text? I think I can add that.
Okay.
I think that's really important.
I think it is too.
Okay.
Because then when you do outreach and stuff, you can send them to your.
Yep.
Okay. Outstanding.
Coming along.
Yeah, I definitely think we can have it be a button on the side, which will end up being its own web page anyway. That's how I know how to do it.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
It wouldn't be a drop out menu, but we can get it up like that for now.
Okay.
Yeah, so send me what you want there and I can put that on there.
Terrific.
And then just, everyone look at it, and if you have thoughts, share them,
Yeah.
please.
Ellen, are we doing a farmers market table this year? Like I
Yes,
don't.
I have to say that I realized that I didn't email her. So
Okay.
I'm on the, but yes, I will go, I have to do that.
Right,
Okay,
Alex.
so I just have to, I guess I haven't, is it still Linda? Is that her name? So there's a link where you can just sign up, right?
Yeah, but I couldn't find the link this
Well,
time around.
Oh, okay. So maybe they haven't created it?
And I think Miki said that she would do the pesticide free
At the,
at the Arbor Day.
yeah, I just didn't know what hours.
Oh, it's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sorry, I didn't see that. Was that in her email?
Yeah, well, I didn't say it because I didn't know. So I knew it was usually in the morning. So, yeah, I if somebody else, wants to go over and help, that would be awesome,
So what day is this?
but you can't do it.
It's April 23rd.
I already asked you.
Oh yeah, that's the one day I can't do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my daughter is running in track, So we're gonna,
Yeah, that's okay. Miki said she'd do it, and there's
Yeah.
going to be a bunch of booths at Arbor Day, so people can just wander around and see those signs.
okay.
Yeah, it's not high intensity
Yeah, yeah. It's not high
pressure. It's
intensity,
just
no.
if they want to come over and see them, they'll be there.
Yeah, but it's always nice to have, somebody there to, to be able to speak with or to, work with. So, and if anybody, all right, we need to figure out the farmer's market. We got to figure out the farmer's market situation. So, does anybody,
Let me see if I can find that lady.
her name is, I have her email address, so maybe I'll just shoot her an email, but does anybody see on the town website where you can sign up to be part of the farmer's market?
I'm not seeing it. The Arbor Day is there on the town website. And last time I actually found it from Facebook. It was in the town of Niskayuna's Facebook feed.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah, I have her email. It's
I
Libby
don't see it
Kokosia.
Yeah, I have it too. I will send her an email. She's very quick to respond, so I will send it to her. It's like a e-invite thing. So I will, this is what, I'll do that tonight.
Oh, wait, it's right here. It's under social media.
Okay. Well, we'll work on that.
Okay.
Oh, it is Facebook. Okay.
It is under social media.
Okay. So yeah, because I think it was good to have a table every once in a while at the farmers market. It was
Yeah.
a good way to just do outreach. It was nice.
Mhm.
And anyway, it's fun to go there because then you're at the farmers market. I mean, I like doing it.
Yeah.
So okay, so we'll get that going. And then the last thing I had on there was that I don't know if I got an article about No Mow May.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that Niskayuna's ready for it, but I feel like go ahead, Steve.
No. I was just saying. Oh yeah. I remember seeing that email.
Yeah. And I mean I like it. It it could be like a future step.
There's lots of communities that do no moment.
No Mow May. So I mean I feel like it's pretty compatible because it's unlikely that the lawns would get over 10 inches in 1 month, I would think.
No,
So,
it's not.
Well, I think what would be really a neat way to do it is make it a challenge for the town.
yeah, how many lawns you can get to be
How many lawns?
no mow?
No mow in May.
Although, like, honestly, I was thinking about this yesterday when I was going for a walk and I was looking at the lawns that I was walking by and I was like, it wouldn't matter if these lawns went 10 because there's nothing in them.
I think it's rare. I could probably do no mow May and June and not get into trouble.
Yeah, me too. But
I think so. I think May is a pretty safe month to do
I feel like I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
But it's just I thought a next step that we could be thinking about would be cool. Like I don't think we can do it this year, but I think it would be cool if we get these other initiatives going. We could start pushing New York because it looks like it's huge in Wisconsin. Like
Yeah.
there's pockets of all of Wisconsin that do it. Although you could see it, not everybody likes it because you're letting the dandelion flower and then the dandelion.
Well, you
yeah.
can.
Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I love dandelions, but not everybody loves dandelions.
Mhm.
Like even in our lawn thing, it's like, how do you get rid of the dandelions? So
Right.
it's a competing thing.
Mhm, mhm.
Right. Yeah. So, I definitely tried to address that because people don't like them and how you can do it. So if you don't like them.
They're so cheery, though. I don't.
See, the problem is if you get dandelions in May and you cut them, you're basically doing self-selection and they're getting lower and lower in the lawn. So
Yeah.
eventually you'll never be able to cut them because it's the short ones that will survive. So basically,
The idea
you're making the
is,
situation worse.
the idea is that you're crowding out you dig up the dandelions and you crowd out all your weeds by
With
allowing
grass
your
seed.
lawn to grow. And-
Yeah, it's a lot healthier if
Yeah.
you have a longer lawn.
I really actually think the more important thing to do in Niskayuna is the watering. We have a lot of people that water every day in our town and they just put it on and they don't realize that it's much better for your lawn to water deeper and longer and less frequent. That is something that really should be addressed since we're paying, we're paying
Well,
now
water.
a little bit more for our water.
Maybe
So-
we should do like an irrigation flyer too, so that in that organic lawn care we can have the months, and then we can just have like just a general PDF of like, how do I water my lawn?
Yeah, that would make sense.
But not right now. You're totally overwhelmed. We'll do it later.
Somebody else could do a little PDF on their, looking out there, yonder, my friends. So yeah, and I also just wanted to say that I did some. My husband didn't send them to me. I didn't have my phone on me, but I took some walks and I saw some really really nice signs for once we get the low mow up on top of the
Cap.
on top of the cap.
Mhm.
I saw like 2 really really nice signs that I think would be really beautiful for that area.
Did you take pictures of them?
My husband took pictures of them, and I thought that they would be a better, they're a little bit bigger, but they're they're like
Mhm.
they have. And I saw, on some walks that we did, in yeah, just they're a little bit nicer, and they're square, they're square on
Yeah.
the ground, so when you come up to it, so
Mhm.
it's like an information thing, but they're more up to date, and
Yeah.
they're really nice.
Yay,
Sounds
cool.
good.
So I think that will be really the next thing that they work on. I don't know where they are with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It looks like you've accomplished a lot over the last month or so.
Ellen did a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other things that we need to consider, Laura?
I don't have any.
So
Okay.
there are 2 things. So one is we had mentioned this before. This is what, so after we get this, stuff up on the website and it, and the Lomo thing passes, is composting. And I'm going to reach out to try to do a compost, whether I do it at the farmer's market or I do it at the Niskuna Town Library. And just how you can compost in your own backyard, no matter, what you have. I really think that people are not in touch with where their garbage goes and what they need to do to minimize that. And so that I was going to do. And
Ellen, I forget sometimes how much overlap we have between committees, but the Climate Smart Communities Task Force had received $5,000 for adopting the New York State Stretch Code, and they voted to use it to
create a compost.
subsidize compost bins, and we can do a residential backyard compost bin giveaway
Oh my
Oh,
God.
that's
at Town
great.
Hall. Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, it's dovetailing into exactly what you're talking about, but
Okay.
probably rather than worrying about the farmer's market, we're just going to do an event for
It- it-
composting where we can train people and stuff.
Yeah,
And give them
it makes
away.
a big difference. We started composting our food waste about 2 years ago, and it makes a big difference.
It's huge. You have,
It is.
yeah. And it also then, rolls into, then you figure out what you eat.
Yep.
Like when you realize that you're breaking down boxes and you're not, putting carrot scraps in, you realize that, oh, maybe I need to reevaluate what I'm eating.
Yeah, so the reason that it can get funded is because you actually don't even realize it's like a double greenhouse gas reducer
Mhm.
because you reduce the greenhouse gases from the weight of it being trucked to a landfill. But also when you put compost in your soil, you wrote this a little bit, but when you put compost in your soil, it makes it like exponentially better at absorbing greenhouse gases.
Yeah.
So you reduce the transportation and you absorb more when you put it down on your lawn. It's like
Okay.
totally awesome.
Yeah. And I can tell you, yeah. And I compost now during the winter.
So do I.
I do a barrel, and I now use that barrel for the tea, like the compost tea, like
Mhm.
and I started with nothing, like and I'm no green thumb, for God's sakes. Like, so if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah. So there's
All right, I will.
There's gonna be an event. We're gonna do compost bins for sure. We might also be able to add some rain barrels, but it may just have to be compost bins.
Okay.
Because the compost bins have the direct greenhouse gas reduction data.
Mhm.
Okay.
But so anyway,
Okay.
we're gonna do that
I'd
probably
like to be a part of that if somebody wants.
probably like the end of summer maybe.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry.
No,
That's
that's
it.
fine. Did anybody else on the committee want to talk about any issues?
No.
If you guys have some availability on Niska Day, the Climate Smart Communities Task Force is also trying to keep Niska Day a zero waste event, and they need volunteers to help people put their garbages in the right. Well, it ends up not being garbage because it's gonna be zero waste. So they compost the food and then they have everything be on like recyclables or whatever.
When is Niska Day?
Is May 21st? Is it May 21st? I'm not sure. I can send you guys an email.
Yeah.
But
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, so the Climate Smart Community Task Force needs some volunteers for those. They do overlap with you guys sometimes, which I forget.
I'm happy to, assuming it's the 21st or anything close by, I'm happy to. volunteer.
Okay. I wasn't able to do it last year, but I'm
May
going to try and do it.
21st, yeah, I just checked. May 21st, 2022.
Yeah. And just like, I don't know, an hour shift and you get to talk to people about garbage.
Okay,
But it makes a really big difference in the environment.
okay, maybe that's where we should be building composts. That's where maybe we should. look
Yeah,
at
so we hire a composting service for Niska Day.
360
Or actually,
scraps.
I think it is, yes.
Yeah,
It's because it's a woman owned. Is that 360 Scraps?
I don't know, but somebody on the next street over does 360 scraps where they rent a bin and you can they'll take it away for you.
Yeah.
And then give it back to you.
I think that is what we use.
I'm just too cheap.
Well, you can do it in your backyard, but it
Yeah.
works for some people. So
Yeah.
it's fine. Okay, sorry, I think we got off topic. But
No,
anyway,
that's
thanks,
okay.
guys.
That's okay.
Sorry.
But it's all good. Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting if we would like to.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody wants to stay longer?
I think this is the shortest meeting since I joined
Yeah.
the committee.
Well, remember that when we have the long ones. It all averages out. The meeting's adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a good night.
Night.
Thanks, Raina. Oh.